All right, thanks everyone. Appreciate that. All right, so we're gonna get started. I think Christopher has some little reel to show, so we're gonna get started with that in just one moment. All right, stay tuned. There we go.
If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it. Now, but that doesn't mean that every wild notion you come up with is going to be genius. But if there is something that you feel is good, something you want to do, something that means something to you, try to do it. Because I think you can only do your best work if you're doing what you want to do, and if you're doing it the way you think it should be done. And if you can take pride in it after you've done it, no matter what it is, you can look at it and say, I did that, and I think it's pretty damn good. That's a great feeling. So don't let idiots talk you out of something that you think is good.
All right, so there's a reason why I showed that. And first of all, I think, still getting used to this. I want everybody in this room to succeed. I want everybody in this room to be rich. And I think you're all here because you have something that you think is a great idea. And you want to show it to the world, and you probably are going to be successful at it if you keep at it. I have certainly had many people talk me out of good ideas in the past, and I regret listening to them every single time. And one of the things that I've, and probably all of you have had, try and talk me out of, is using AI as part of my workflow. I will tell you, I have a lot of friends in Hollywood who are either closet AI users who are going, I gotta learn this, or they do go to the parties and they report back to me, oh, it's an atmosphere of bullying. If they catch a whiff of you using AI for anything, they're going to shame you, bully you, talk you out of it. I'm talking about big name directors. Nobody that I would ever dare name, but this is an edge for us. Now, I know that not everybody here is intending to be a filmmaker, but they're intending to use AI for other purposes. I had a gentleman come up to me right over there who said they're using it for wildlife work. Whatever AI can do for you, go ahead and use it, because we are not empowered with millions of dollars. I'm obviously telling you things you already know. Billions of dollars like Hollywood is. But suddenly we find ourselves with an edge. So I want to talk about that edge today. I'll give you a little bit of background on myself, not too much. But I also want to point out a couple of great individuals in the audience who I brought with me. First of all, we have Jenna Green, who did the practical effects work with me, because I'm a huge practical effects fan, and I do mix that with AI. On my first film, The Quantum Terror, which, speaking of liminal spaces, it has a lot of liminal space work on it. Jenna has done amazing things through the years. You should follow her. She swims with sharks. She's been on Sci-Fi's Face Off. And then the other person I want to point out is my producing partner, Doug Mayfield, who's over here. Doug is an amazing intellect, a great writing partner, and has helped me a great deal. You can't do this on your own, but again, we don't have huge teams like Hollywood does. Hollywood, and weirdly enough, the tech companies, the big tech companies developing this AI, are working furiously to make sure that people like us don't use it, because it's giving us a competitive edge. It's giving us production value like we've never seen before. And let's be frank, for years we've been told, hey, do something little, do something within your budget. Okay, that's great, but I think we all know that the audience expects something more, and they don't understand our little budgets. Now we have the opportunity to do something really amazing. And I'm going to show you examples of my work here. You're going to probably look at it. A lot of you will say, hey, this guy's not actually doing this cool stuff as I'm doing. But what I've managed to use this for and where I'm going with it, I think I can be very competitive. So I want to talk a little bit, again, I'll tell you a little bit of my background, not very long, and then I'm going to talk to the point of how I'm using AI both to build a business and to up my production value on my independent film work. And then from there, we're going to open it up to questions because I want to hear from you guys. And I think I can answer a lot. I'm not going to go through all the arguments about AI being stealing or uncreative. You wouldn't be here if you believed that, so I'm not going to waste your time with that. So first of all, before I get into some of these examples, I want to talk about how I'm actually a big fan of practical effects. My first movie, The Quantum Terror, was all miniatures. Over here, I have a miniature spaceship for my new movie that I'm working on, Escape from Planet Omega 12. Fun sci-fi flick. But let me show you something here. Still a little weird. Hopefully you can all see it. This is a practical effects tentacle. This is the kind of stuff that I was working with before. And as you can see, it's cable control. And this is the kind of thing that we would use on the Quantum Terror. You get these cable control mechanisms in it, and they would move around, and we would use all sorts of tricks like reverse photography and magnets under tables, flipping the camera upside down. It was a lot of work, and it paid off. It looked really good. I still love this stuff, and I still want to integrate this stuff into my workflow, so I'm going to talk about that. I've gotten to work for special effects companies in Hollywood. Just put that down. But again, I don't want to be a part of Hollywood. I want to do my own thing. I don't want to ask permission, which I left Hollywood because everybody had a permission layer process that I had to go through. And yeah, I just said no to all of that. I'm just going to go do it myself. And they said, you're crazy. And I said, I don't care. But now I'm using AI for my second film, and I still want to incorporate these practical effects. I still want to have miniatures. I still want to have cable-controlled mechanisms. I think that's all really cool. But I also want to bring this to movie theaters. I want to bring it to an audience who expects the quality that, say, I don't know, what was it? Project Hail Mary was the big hit. But for the most part, we may notice that Hollywood has been floundering. They don't have too many big hits. So I think that our ability to tell stories that are outside of their parameters is going to be a great competitive edge. So I'm going to talk about, let's click into some folders here. Here is, and apologize if there's some lag here. Wake up. So here are some practical effects miniatures that I put against a green screen, which is how I started this project. I wanted to have alien landscapes. And then from there, I found that I could start generating even more unique landscapes. Oh, that's tricky. The AI programs like to add sound, which I don't normally use. But I realized I could feed images of my work into the AI, and then I could, let's see, hold on, I'm going to turn this down so I don't blast you guys with, oops, nope, that's the one then. Now you'll notice that I'm generating these with green screen backgrounds because I still use traditional visual effects. And since we're doing that, let me go into my alien birds here. Speaking of feeding in images, so I can draw. I have a cartoony style. So here's some alien birds that I want in my movies. This almost looks like they're from the Peanuts comic strip if they had aliens on it. But I was like, yeah, not bad. But people want to see something where you really up the production quality. So I started doing parts, different expressions that I could feed in. And from there, I started to use AI to really up the quality of the illustrations. I would love to be able to draw this well, but I don't have the time nor the resources to have a whole team on this. And here we go. We started doing, I say we, as in me and the AI, with Doug corresponding with me and giving his input, started creating these style sheets of these strange mutant birds. And yes, actually, the 2 beaks here was intentional, because AI can do some strange things, but I wanted to lean into that, the idea that there are these kind of mutated birds. And then we go on to animation. So now I've got this great alien bird, and you notice I put it against a green screen. Again, that's intentional, because I want the option to, let's see, you got this guy here. Wanted him to scream up at the sky. I actually love this shot. And then from there, I started playing around. I started taking some of those other elements. And let's see, start with this. So now I can composite together daily. And it was a great way to keep me on track that way, because I have ADHD, so I could sit there for weeks thinking about things I want to do and not executing them because I'm not sure how, or I can't decide what I want to do first, and it kept me on track that way. I don't use it so much for writing. I like to write my own scripts. Every once in a while, if I need a little suggestion here or there, yes. But really, I'm treating AI chatbots like Google Gemini as a business partner, keeping me on track, keeping me grounded, making me be an adult. Because I think a lot of times you meet filmmakers, they've got big dreams, but they don't have the kind of adult mentality to stick to their guns and turn it into something that's going to make money. You know, they've got a dream about taking it to Hollywood, and they're going to green light it and hand them a bunch of money, and that just doesn't happen. And even when it does, most of these people do not end up with the money they think they're going to have. They usually end up with a lot of bills. So again, it gives me a lot of different suggestions. We have, let's see, there's something else that I wanted to show that we could do. Oh, so we have the miniature here. I know I'm jumping around a little bit. I want to show you, let's see, where are the ships? My eyes, all right, there we go. So again, I build practical ships, but now I have them all 3D scanned thanks to AI. This is using a service online called Polycam. I use a lot of different online services. I use Google Gemini, I use Squawk, I use Kling, and I use Polycam. But I also use a lot of the local AI. Is anybody here running local AI? Do they have a powerful rig that can run Stable Diffusion or Comfy UI? Nobody? I very strongly recommend that you look into that, because as powerful as your online AI tools are, there are a few things that I'm already observing happening. One is some of them, like Sora, are getting taken away. So you could be in the middle of making a movie on Sora, and suddenly Sora is gone, and then you're stuck, or you have to hop onto another AI service and hope to God that they can help you to pick up where you left off. So you can see, again, these 3D scans can be imported into After Effects, and I can incorporate them into my composites. But I am also going to, let's do this. So I've got my character here from Escape from Planet Omega 12, Captain Brio Burrows. And here he is in his bedroom before the movie really gets started. That's the hatch to the escape pod that they can take down to there. I did this with Grok. Really great. I created the character using open source software like Comfy UI. I can have a lot more control over my characters. And animation on Comfy UI offers a lot of different options as well. Let's see here. There's a folder here that says, hello. I had a little fun with this. So open source control. Let's see. I like Lord of the Rings. Let's see. That's the image. Here it is. Let's turn up the sound for this one. Hopefully, okay. Nope, can't hear him. Oops.
To AI and filmmaking present. Hello, and welcome to AI and filmmaking presented by Beyond the Canvas.
I should have played that at the beginning.
It goes well.
I love goth stuff. I came out of the goth scene when I was a teenager, so let's see if we got did I do that? Let's see. These are all stills, aren't they? God, crap, I forgot that one. But let me show you something else. Open source performance control. I'm a little embarrassed by this, but here we have I'm suddenly blocking on the name of this particular program. Live Portrait. Live Portrait can take any expressions and add them onto your character. So one of the problems that you see with a lot of AI services is control. Well, using things like Live Portrait and now LTX 2.3, which is also open source, you can get very strong control over your characters, including if you've got a character in motion and you want them to say something, it will add this onto there. Oh, here's a painting of me my friend Val did. I also, Hello and welcome to my talk about using AI in filmmaking and the business of filmmaking. Again, I should have played that in the beginning, I'm sorry. So there's so many things that you can do with open source. LTX is very powerful. You do need a strong, powerful computer like a gaming rig. I have a 5090 NVIDIA card on the rig that we use. I think it cost us about $3K. I think the value of it now is up to $5K. So no, not cheap. But really what it comes down to is this. AI is still a lot of work. A person who is not creative is not going to create something that is amazing if they're not creative. It's, we know that the AI doesn't do the work for you. A lot of people want to say that it does. A lot of people want to dismiss us. I personally think a lot of that is astroturf. People don't want the little guy, I should say, the individual, to have the ability to compete with these institutions that, we've all grown up when Hollywood feels like it's always been there. It seemed like an insurmountable hill to climb. And they're panicking. And I can tell you firsthand from people in the business who are telling me, hey, you're doing this AI thing. The people in Hollywood, don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to use it properly. They're terrified that it's going to take away their jobs. Debatable, but it is going to give us an edge in this new world of entertainment. And it's not just that that's changed. This is what I want to wrap up with, and then we'll do questions. The entertainment industry was already in trouble before AI came along. AI filled a gap that was growing exponentially. Movie theaters, there's only about half the movie theaters there are now in the 1980s. 40 years later, we've got twice the amount. They're there because they were meeting a need that was 15 years ago now. The age of the blockbuster is coming to an end because the price tag for making these movies is way beyond any profit margin that they can have. We can think big, work small, work hard, and we can make a living. I'm not saying we'll get rich, but we can make a living doing this, and probably a good living. And we can have our own audience, and we can build it in places that Hollywood just has no idea how to reach now. They actually have abandoned the movie theaters. I know for a fact that movie theaters are looking to work with independent creators. I think the video-on-demand market is probably its own bubble that's going to collapse. That the amount of money that the video-on-demand services are spending is, it's going to get top-heavy, and that's going to fall apart too. I think video-on-demand it'll always be there, but there are going to be all these holes in the market cropping up. I want us to be prepared to fill them, and that's coming soon. So, I could ramble on for ages. I kind of had the structure that I wanted to follow. there's so many other things that I can talk about. You know, like I said, I can show you, I'm still building puppets in my garage with these cable control mechanisms like I showed you, out of cardboard and styrofoam. You know, it's quaint, it's cute. I want to make sure that when audiences see it, they don't look at it and go, that's cardboard. I want them to feel like they're watching something that's comparable to a Hollywood movie, because that's what they've come to expect. But they've also come to expect Hollywood movie stories to suck, and I think we can beat Hollywood on that. I've also been experimenting with using AI to facilitate stop motion. This is actually based on a series of photographs I took of this model, and then I had AI stitch it together. So yeah, there's all sorts of things that you can do. And again, your imagination, your ability to push the technology in directions that maybe the average person isn't expecting it to go, that's your actual superpower. Because yes, anyone can use AI, but what are they going to do? They're going to generate the same images, the same novelty memes, that sort of thing. Look at people like James Cameron when he made Aliens. He was using reverse photography, trick editing, turning the camera upside down, doing all these things that, again, to Stan Lee's point, oh, and I promised I'd tell the Stan Lee story. I guess I was going to open with that. I'll wrap up with that. All the people on set were going, I don't think this is going to work. And James Cameron, being the bastard that he notoriously is, said, it's going to work, shut up, do what I tell you. And then when they all saw it in the dailies, and they saw what was this lifeless rubber puppet being dragged across the floor and pulled in different directions, suddenly cut together to be this thing running after Sigourney Weaver and having the audience at the edge of the seat, that wasn't the cameras, that wasn't the technology, that was James Cameron pushing that technology in ways that nobody else was thinking of, and he had the confidence and the courage to make it work. And he made his reputation on that movie, and Terminator as well. So I'll wrap up, and then I would love to hear from you guys. I'll wrap up with some questions. Get you in a moment. When I was a down-and-out artist, waiting on food pantries because I was unemployed and working in a movie theater at night just to try and make ends meet, I got a call from a writer friend of mine. He said, I am working with this creator who has gotten Stan Lee to be the editor, and I need you to come be the artist. And I said, I don't know if I can do that. I haven't drawn comic books in ages, and I got a really weird style. He says, just bring your work. My style was drawing and painting and photo editing with Photoshop, photographs I take in.
You. Tomas, thank you very much. Avenida, thank you for holding these. This is great. This is the stuff I live for. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Two quick questions. It's a nice dance when you're wanted and you want to go do it, right? It's a nice dance. Two quick questions. The total monthly spend for the tools that you're using, and then the second part of that is talk about for me, because I use these tools all the time, and it is like having this new extension of this tool that I can paint or draw or whatever, all this stuff, and I get very, very excited about, a lot of the aspects. So what's your monthly spend, and what's the emotional, happiness quotient for you using these tools?
Those are great questions. First of all, I'll start with the emotional happiness. What a time to be alive, because I spent the first half of my life being talked out of things by people who I thought knew better. And what I eventually figured out is these people don't know better, they just talk a good game, and most of the time they're never accomplishing anything themselves. And a lot of times they're asking me to help them with projects, and we're deliberately sabotaging the projects, and then I got to be their excuse for why they weren't happening. So for me, watching all of those obstacles be removed, I don't have to listen to anybody except for the people who have, joined me on this journey and want to legitimately take part. And I've learned to keep that inner circle very tight. Those two people are mostly here. So the happiness, the excitement is fantastic. And the fact that also that I can take my work, my vision, my drawings, I don't have to just rely on like what the AI is going to give me. And I use it as an asset generator. I never see the output as a finished product. And for the sake of copyright, you don't want that anyway. And that's another thing I can talk about if anyone wants to hear a little bit. I'm not a copyright attorney, but I can speak a little bit to the copyright issues. Oh, by the way, I should mention, and I'll get to the second part of the question, I write for Film Threat. Filmthreat.com, if you're familiar with Film Threat, they are the biggest independent film reviewer website. They have their own award show called Award This. I actually got to write for Film Threat because my first movie, The Quantum Terror, won Best Indie Horror Movie at Award This for 2023. It was an amazing, they had a show, thank you very much. You know, and because of that movie, I kept in touch with them and I started sending them things I was writing on my Substack about AI, and they said, come be our AI writer. So I write about what I think about, you know, the movement of artists using it, what I think Hollywood, why they're freaking out, what I think of Hollywood. Spoiler alert, I don't think very much of Hollywood. You know, it's just the arguments that you can read about that, you know, people want to tear you down for using AI. I defend people using AI to the bitter end on that. So check out, if you search Christopher Moonlight on Film Threat, or you can find it through, oh, by the way, please, everybody subscribe to the Christopher Moonlight Productions YouTube channel, because I do tutorials there, and I read my Film Threat articles. So anyway, went off on a tangent, I apologize. The spend. So the big spend again was the computer. I believe very much in open source AI. You get a lot more control, you get access to a lot more custom models. People are upgrading, but expect to spend gaming rig numbers. And I'm talking, if you want something really powerful, you're looking at around $5,000, maybe more now that the AI has spiked the computer chip industry and inflation has brought the prices up a bit. The monthly on Google Gemini and Grok, along with playing, I think comes to around $60 a month. Well worth it, especially Grok and Google Gemini. I use those all the time. Usually what I get from them, I import into the open source stuff, and I really get the control I want there. But again, Google Gemini, as far as a business planning machine, and I cannot stress this enough, use it as a business partner. People are using Google Gemini like a search engine. Don't use it to search things. Don't use it to ask questions. Tell it it's your business partner and tell it what the goals are and be very clear about that. And it will help you to draw a roadmap to your goals and it will help break them down into achievable I'm talking like, you know, you set big goals for yourself, they'll seem unattainable. But if you get something like Google Gemini to break things down into daily tasks, discipline, you feel like you're accomplishing something every day. And every week you look back and go, I'm that much closer to what I'm doing. It took me, I think, Doug, was it finally 8 years after the Quantum Terror? Did it take 8 years to get the Quantum Terror finished? From beginning, like concept to release on video on demand, I'm talking about. And with Escape from Planet Omega 12, I was kind of floundering a little bit. You know, I was doing all this experimenting. Now I feel like I can confidently say I will have Escape from Planet Omega 12 in movie theaters by maybe very optimistically at the end of this year, more realistically in the spring of 2027, I will be touring Escape from Planet Omega 12 in movie theaters. And from there, we're going to go to physical media and video on demand. And we're going to have a whole merch line. And AI helped me to plan all of that. And I implore all of you, try it. You will start to see the results, you know, unless you're super disciplined. But I'm ADHD, not disciplined. So anybody else?
You were going to show us the weapons?
Oh, the weapons. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes. Let's see. Do this thing where I lift my glasses. I apologize. I thought I had that in the right folder. Let's see. That was where I can steer. We did have these. Well, I'll click through these. So this ray gun here is something that I kit bashed. If you're not familiar with the term kit bashing, I apologize. I had like a 3D rotation of it. It was very cool. I can't find it. But I kit bashed this ray gun, so it's a physical prop. And then I used Polycam to do photo scans of it. And then I had Google Gemini create a style sheet for me. So now I can feed this style sheet into an AI program and create in open source, the open source world, what's called a LoRa, L-O-R-A. It is a mini model trained specifically on an action, an object, or a style. So say you have a certain drawing style, you can feed it all your drawings and create a LoRa, and then you can attach that LoRa to the larger model and tell it, give me a spaceship, but in my style, and then it references the LoRa and it gives it to you in your style. You can train a LoRa on Vincent van Gogh or Leonardo da Vinci or Leonardo DiCaprio. And I actually mean that, you know, in the open source area, there's no blocks. You know, the proprietary stuff has, you know, say, hey, give me Leonardo DiCaprio fighting Godzilla. And they're like, sorry, we're not doing Leonardo DiCaprio. That's against our terms of service. People will go and train LoRas on whatever they want. So if you want a certain face, your own face, you've created a character, you can create a LoRa on that. Is somebody trying to signal and I'm running out of time? But again, you can train a LoRa on a weapon, on a spear, on a ray gun. I wish that I tried training a LoRa on the spaceship here. That's all right. That's actually the wrong one. I did that one with Grok. But this, you know, the idea that maybe I want an AI that can produce the spaceship again and again. Let's see, the rock formations. Where did I put those? I apologize. I had certain things. Oh, show you one more motion capture thing. I promised I wouldn't make things too racy, but it's a woman in a bikini. So, but I had a performance capture actress come in. So you can see the difference. Here's the AI character on, well, there's the performance. And then there's how it captured the performance. It tracked the performance. And then we glommed it onto the character. And you can see there that she has the spear because I was able to take those style sheets and train the AI LoRa on the spear. And so it now understands what that spear is. But yes, I apologize. I lost the weapons rotation. There's a sketch I did of the character, again, holding a version of that spear. Oh, one other thing I want to mention too, just general assets. Say you just need a shot of water. You know, before you had to go searching for that, maybe purchase some clip art, you can just generate your own water or your own sky. You saw this before. I wanted a sky shot of a reveal of the ringed planet in the atmosphere. So I generated that, these establishing shots, these kind of beautiful cloudy vistas with lightning. I mean, again, anything you want, anything you can think of. You just need a little patience to prompt it. On Omega 12, there are living clouds. So I used AI to create these living clouds that would move across the sky. And sometimes they'd hover near to the ground. They shoot lightning out. So again, anything that your imagination can conceive of, if you can draw it, you can build it, you can feed it in there and up the production value. Does anyone want to hear about just briefly about the copyright? Does that interest anybody? Because I know that copyright has been an issue. Okay, I'll talk a bit about the copyright. So at the moment, the copyright, chimpanzee took a photo, and the person tried to copyright the photo, and they said, no, it has to be a human being. You can't, so the AI can't copyright. The AI doesn't own the picture because it can't copyright it. And if you generate an image just straight out and just put it up online, you can use it, but somebody else can take it and use it as well. That's just the way it is right now. I expect there to be more arguments over it. But also copyright recognizes the spirit of copyright is that there's a robust public square that we can take from and create transformative works. There's also a robust public domain. After a certain amount of time, copyright runs out. This is because they want people to, copyright acknowledges that creation is a matter of taking things from the past, remixing them, adding your own spin on them. If you don't do that, then copyright's just going to freeze everything and we cease to innovate. So you can take you can take an AI-generated image and video, and you can use it as an asset. That's why I was doing a lot with green screen in the background. So I could clip it out, and then I can place it into a composition that was made with my hand. Suddenly, that is copyright to me. Or I can take my drawings, which are automatically copyright to me, or my paintings, and I can feed them through AI. I can use them to generate something that is AI generated, but of my style. So that can be copyright to me as well. So once I take all those things and mix them together and use them all, to blend them with my miniatures and this and that, and paint over them and create composites and put them together in a movie, that movie and that story, which is written by me, is all copyright to me. So you can get around that pretty easily. Yes, you had a question.
I just had a question. Let's say so say you make one of those offline little model, and so that little model makes image or video or whatever it is, and it's not a composition like you said. With that, you copyright with that image be copyrightable, and then also would a model that you made your model with Brad up, whatever, you made it specifically in this way, whatever, is that an AI model also copyrighted? Like, as your question to us, I'm curious on if you do know that.
The way I understand it, and again, I'm not an attorney, but the way I understand it is that, say you create a character and you make a model of that character. Well, technically, the images it generates aren't copyrighted, but that character was already yours. It's already copyright to you. So now what you have is you have an intellectual property. So somebody could take that model and create, say you make a Laura on Mickey Mouse, right? Okay, so you can generate as many images of Mickey Mouse as you want and share them with your friends and, stick them on your wall, whatever. But as soon as you start selling the model or the prints or whatever, then you're in violation of Disney's intellectual property. So that's when they, and believe me, Disney is working hard to, because here's the thing. Like, people are using these different AI softwares to do, Brad Pitt versus Tom Cruise, right? Yeah. And they're like, you're infringing on our IP. And it's like, well, so they want to go and sue the company that makes that AI. In my opinion, based on my knowledge of the spirit of copyright, you shouldn't be able to, I should say, go after a company. They're providing the means to do that, but an individual decided to violate that copyright. That would be like if Disney went after a company that sells paints and pads of paper because people are using their paints and pads of paper to draw Mickey Mouse. It's the individual that chose to do that. But again, it gets murky. I strongly suggest, of course, that all of you forget about fan films, forget about doing anything with anybody else's intellectual property, create your own things, because again, that's where your superpower is going to go. they've already run all these IPs into the ground anyway. They're worthless now. They're not seeing a return on them. So yes.
So looking at your lot of tape, and if I change the gear control this way, it goes this way. It's my own character.
So there is, again, take this with a grain of salt. I always say consult a real attorney over this. Yeah.
I mean, he needs to make these one.
Yeah. So there is there's parody and there's transformative works. So you would have to transform that character enough where there couldn't be brand confusion. That's a big thing that in copyright people go for. It's like, oh, it's like sometimes fan films that aren't making any money still get taken down because they go like, well, it's creating brand confusion. Murky waters, but the Steamboat Willie, are you familiar with that? So Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse as Steamboat Willie has entered the public domain. And suddenly we've got all these horror movies that are like Steamboat Willie, is going to decapitate you or whatever. I forget the name of the titles of them, that sort of thing. But they're still working with attorneys to be very careful because Steamboat Willie is the first iteration of Mickey Mouse that has got in the public domain. But through the years, they've made changes, and those still fit into the realm of copyright. So, again, it's like let's talk about Star Wars for a second. You can make your own Star Wars movie, call it something else, and just not have lightsabers and the Force in it. It's like this thing that I built here is a spaceship. Nobody owns, spaceships, but there's certain kinds of spaceships in Star Wars, obviously, that are going to be copyright. So, but this is kind of like the idea of, people, again, say that, like, oh, AI is stealing because it's taking from all over the place and it's, like, bashing it together, which is not actually what it's doing. But it's like, you don't actually own as much of your art as you think you do. You can do an original painting of a, white picket fence and, with purple flowers on it, blue bonnets growing over here with it, and then a haunted house behind it with skeletons. And I'm just throwing out different details, right? You can then copyright that picture, go, this is my picture, I own the rights to it, but you still don't own white picket fences, skeletons, blue bonnets. These are all things that are, they're out there. And it's how we bring them together and mix them and make them unique to what we're doing that we build our brand on and we own our own intellectual properties. So, again, the AI generation itself on its own, technically not copyrightable, but as soon as you start mixing and matching and editing and, it all becomes yours, especially when you have recognizable characters that are come from you, characters or concepts like that. I don't own spherical spaceships. They've been there before. I think the Death Star, the ship from E.T., but that's my specific spherical spaceship. I don't think George Lucas or Steven Spielberg is going to sue me over that. At least I hope not. Disney may try, just to knock out the competition. There is such a thing, by the way, as a big company, if you do one of two things. I hate saying this because I don't want to discourage anybody. You have something that's competing very well with what they're doing. So they'll take you to court over it for copyright infringement, even though they don't have a case at all. But they still have enough money and lawyers to wear you out financially until you're dead in the water. I've seen that happen before, and I've also seen this. They go, hey, we love your idea. We want to sign a contract with you. We want to produce your movie. And you go, wonderful. So you sign the contract, and it goes into turnaround, and it stays into turnaround forever and never gets made. This happened to somebody who was doing kind of like an archaeologist explorer girls, kind of Indiana Jones-like, and it was different enough where they couldn't sue her over it. And they said, we love it. And then really what it was that they knew that it could compete with their Return of Indiana Jones. So they bought it and they shelved it so it couldn't compete with them. So, be careful out there. They're tricky. There's a lot, like I said, that's what I was saying. Do your own thing because intellectual property, especially in the realm of where you've got AI generated images and videos in the raw not being copyrightable, people are going to try and nail you with that. So you just have to be smart about it. You know, talk to Google Gemini about it, though. I can give you good tips.
It's very good chips on either.
I don't use CAD. I'm actually terrible with 3D. I admire people who do 3D printing. My father used to use CAD to build road cases in his business.
Older generation, the lead generation, and I meant to know.
Yeah. Well, you know what the wonderful thing about, you know, again, go with what you're good at, because you can take that and then run it through AI. You know, something old is new again. Again, I love practical effects. I love making cable controlled stuff. I love building miniatures. I don't want to stop. But I can only do so much on my budget and time. So AI allows me to focus on where it really matters to me, and then I let AI handle the rest so I can get it out the door and make it profitable. So that's, you know, my advice is the sky's the limit. If there's something like CAD that you want to use, I bet you there's a tutorial out there that shows you how to incorporate that. And if there isn't, then you might be the one to make it. So, you know, because this is a frontier, and it's risky, it's dangerous, like all frontiers are. But, you know, to quote Captain Kirk, risk is our business.
Think we got time for 2 more questions?
Anybody else? I'm enjoying this.
Yes, I have a question here. AI is I think it makes people lazy, but sometimes it's very creative. You AI, like you said, you know, procrastination is a thief of time. You know, hard work is hard yeast is the wisest of the dough, because I admire your work. I admire, you know, it's just like you got to start from the bottom and so forth. And what I'm thinking is that, what do you think about AI? Is it AI? Is it make people cheat, or or AI is helping people out?
I think it's a wonderful question. I think AI maybe couldn't get an opportunity to be on a full set, to, you know, travel around and make meetings and all that sort of thing, to suddenly have the means to realize your vision. As far as it being lazy, yeah, there are going to be plenty of people who are lazy with it. We're seeing the slop. I don't actually like that term, but look, it comes down to this. Just because 100 people are going to use it to be lazy or to scam or to create derivative stuff that nobody cares about, that doesn't mean that that's you. Just like anything else, I'll tell you a quick story. I love comic books. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, $1 billion franchise. The guys that created it self-published it on black and white paper. They couldn't afford color. It was cheap newsprint. It was a huge hit. And so after that, all the comic book owners were like, hey, the fans love these black and white comics. They want black and white comics. So suddenly everybody in the comic book industry with like no talents at all was making these shoddy black and white comic books, right? And, you know, and they weren't any good, but a few great ones came. Again, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles became a I think we got a Ninja Turtle over here. We got an artist over here for sure. You know, we have, I'm going to come over there and see what you're on after. You know, but we also got The Crow. James O'Barr created The Crow and became a Brandon Lee movie, and to this day it's a cult classic, and there's still people that love and read that comic. And I believe James O'Barr, who never did anything else after The Crow really, still makes a lot of money just drawing pictures of The Crow and meeting fans, and, you know, because that character means a lot. So you can be, you know, Kevin Eastman, and I forget the name of his partner who created Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you can be James O'Barr, or you can be, you know, like I said, a lot of these people just tried to cash in on the fact that they thought that there was this black and white comic craze, and that's what the fans wanted. No, they wanted what these particular talents were doing in that medium, and they played to the black and white so well. James O'Barr's The Crow would not look good in color. So again, it's a new medium, and there's a term, the medium is the message. I argue that, like, I love Nightmare Before Christmas. It would not make a good CGI movie. It worked because it played to the medium of stop motion. That's what made it so wonderful. I love Samurai Jack, this animated samurai series. It's hand-drawn. I don't think it would look good any other way. So now that we have AI, let's see what we can do with this medium and create things that would only work in AI. Because I think that's, and if you do something good, if you do something that means something to you, that speaks to your values and creates value for someone else, you get to be among the first people who took the medium of AI and created something that, man, I'm still showing Toy Story to my kids to this day. We love that movie. The first Toy Story, it blew our minds when it came out, and it played to the medium of CGI in animation, and everyone else has been trying to keep up ever since, even though the technology has improved, but they told a story that used CGI in that way. So, question, sir?
It's what girls real quick, and some attention that helping the leads you. I disagree. It is tremendously. You're either going to take it in and sleep off with it, you're going to incorporate it. If you're late, so cute to see the blow it out of it. Like, that's my thing. Basically, you'll take much. My deck is a tool, but the sellers are well to create this belief.
Yeah.
The only people are learning well things the minor somewhat called the thing the power jewel. They don't I think they look like
yes.
why that see the old man to the little one like up yourself.
I look at it this way. I always ask people, would you rather see a kid who's just started taking guitar lessons play on the most expensive guitar he can get his hands on, or would you rather see Jimi Hendrix perform with a pawn shop $100 guitar? It's what whoever's hands it's in is going to make the difference. The human moat. I say this all the time in my film tech articles. The human moat is what's going to drive this. And it's, again, I'm so excited for you all because you can take what's in your mind, in your heart, and you can generate it now with some production value that is going to, Hollywood is freaking out because they've been afraid of you all this time. The reason that they weren't too concerned before is because they had a bunch of money behind them and we didn't. But now that doesn't matter. And here we are. So what are you going to do?
Give it up for Christopher Cooksey. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
Just want to let y'all know we can hang out here, network a little bit. There is some food. If you're still hungry, they have a lot of food over there. Grab a water. We do have shirts for sale, but I appreciate everybody coming out. And we're going to have more of these. Just follow our page and, of course, connect with him as well after the event. Thank you. You have one more question real quick?
Covered that out.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just from wondering right now, so you're ready in the great space, the on cutting the art, and like so good thing to do. So once plan like a shit up all things that. Yeah, take it better.
And you.
You're done.
And thank you to our partners at AIA Pro for including us in your program. They got stuff going on all month.
Thank you.
Yeah.